Today in Muncie, Ball State continues a 6-game homestand with the UPUI Jaguars in town. UPUI in need of a win to snap a 3-game losing streak. Ball State, UPUI, it's college basketball on ESPN3. Welcome everybody to Worthen Arena. Two in-state teams, both with a loaded roster of players from the Hoosier State. It's Ball State and UPUI, and it's here on ESPN3. Down here on the court alongside analyst Noah Reed, Tyler Bradfield on hand. Well, Noah, Ball State on the front half of a 6-game homestand. IU Kokomo was in here on Wednesday. Francis Kiapway and Ryan Weber finally starting to find their strokes from outside. How important is that heading into today with UPUI?
Well, when you play a team from the NAIA like IU Kokomo, you're not necessarily worried about the outcome because you know you should take care of business, which is what Ball State did, winning by 40. But it's a chance to work on some things that you struggle with in the early part of the year. Weber and Kiapway starting the season in shooting slumps, but now coming off of season highs. 24 for Weber, 18 for Francis Kiapway on 6 of 10 shooting behind the three-point line.
It was a season-high 14 assists for Taylor Persons. What effect can he have today against the Jaguars?
Persons is a do-it-all type point guard, averages a team-high 16 points per game, but he said Tuesday he'll do whatever it takes to win the game. He's accepted much more of a facilitator's role over the last 2 games, averaging 11 assists per game in that stretch.
UPUI is a roster full of transfers, highlighted by Ron Patterson, 2 years at Syracuse. How do you defend him if you're Ball State?
Well, it's going to be tough because he's developed a jumper in the last year. 43% from the field, 41% behind the three-point line. It's going to take a team effort for Ball State. Have to close out high, prevent the three-pointer, and then trust that your backside defense is there to stop the drive.
Looking at the keys to victory, turnovers seem relatively important today.
Absolutely. For Ball State, it's the biggest thing. Over 100 turnovers in the first 7 games, but if they can control the turnover margin today, they put themselves in a good spot to win the game.
Taking a look at the starting lineups for both Ball State and UPUI, the same starting lineup for the entire season for both teams. UPUI, 4 of the 5 are transfers. The only player originally committed to UPUI is Evan Hall, the 6'7" sophomore out of Kentucky. Combs out of Chicago is the team's leading scorer at just above 16 points per game. And Noah, Coach Whitford of Ball State said this may be one of the most experienced lineups in the entire country.
And that's exactly it. They have a lot to do with the transfers for the 5 stars that you said. A very good starting lineup for UPUI.
And for Ball State, Persons leads the team at 16 points per game. Sean Sellers only played 11 minutes Wednesday against IU Kokomo. He's been battling an illness all week. He is in the starting lineup scheduled to go today. It's Ball State and UPUI. Ball State looking for a 5-3 start. Last year's start of the season, 7-3, as UPUI is looking to snap a 3-game losing streak and looking for their first road win of the season. We introduced you to the 3rd member of our broadcast crew in Mick Tidrow.
Tyler, a relatively new series between Ball State and UPUI. Just 11 games played so far throughout these two teams' history. Ball State leads at 7-4, that 61-58 victory last year for Ball State. And head coach James Whitford talked how important it was this week at practice to stopping the guards and Kellen Thomas and Ron Patterson of UPUI. Sean Sellers, you mentioned it, Francis Kiapway, both a go for Ball State here today.
Thanks, Mick. Last year, Ball State with a 61-58 win here in Worthen. This is the 2nd consecutive year that these two teams have played inside of Worthen, and since 2011, these two teams have played 5 times. UPUI with just a slightly better hand at 3-2. Todd Van Sossen, Tyler Kump, and Danny Olson, the 3 officials today. With Ball State and UPUI. 2 teams out of the state of Indiana and a lot of talent from the Hoosier State. Roughly 75% of the players on the rosters, all kids from Indiana. It's Hall and Moses to do the honors for Ball State as Moses slaps it back. Ball State in white, UPUI defends in black.
I think it's imperative on this first possession to establish the in-post game, get Franco House going. He's only averaged 8 points per game over the last couple.
He is top 20 in the MAC in scoring the basketball as he tracks down the rebound, but last touch by UPUI on the top side sideline. This UPUI team is led by 3rd-year head coach Jason Gardner, played his college basketball at Arizona. Originally from the Indianapolis area where he was the 1999 Mr. Basketball for North Central High School. had a very, very successful high school playing career and college playing career, and has had a lot of success in trying to get guys to transfer back to the state of Indiana. One of those being Thomas, who's on the break. A dump for O'Leary, and IUPUI is on the board.
That's where IUPUI is so successful, turning teams over. They turn teams over almost 18 times per game. We know Ball State struggles with that.
A backdoor slip, and Kiapwe's on the board. Ball State 10th in the Mid-American Conference in turnover margin up to this point. Tyler Kumpf will stop play with an issue at the shot clock. Ball State, led by a fourth-year head coach in James Whitford, finished second in the Mid-American Conference Coach of the Year voting last year to Keith Dambrot of Akron. Had one of the best turnarounds this program has ever seen. Ball State's first 20-win season in 14 years. Made a CIT tournament run, a 21-14 record for the fourth-year head coach.
And I don't think you can state enough how much he did to turn this program around. Just 2 years ago, a team that went 7-23. Last year, a 20-win team that you had mentioned. He's done a great job of taking over a program when it was down in the cellar. Did a nice job turning it around. You see a team that can compete for a MAC title this year.
Well, last year was the fourth biggest jump in the country for Ball State. The year prior in 2014-15. 7 wins, 23 losses, and then last season 21 wins and 14 losses. Now, what we have is an issue with the shot clock, I do believe, as both teams will use this right out of the get-go, not even a minute into the opening half, to regroup. Just a possession and a half into this.
And I think what it allows each coach to do is kind of reinforce what their keys to the game are to start early on. Is especially for Ball State, you had a turnover on the first possession. That's something you struggled with, turning the ball over, one of the most in the Mid-American Conference. A time to settle down a little bit.
IUPUI, a team projected to finish 5th in the Summit League. Did receive one of the 32 first-place votes, though. Combs, the team's leading scorer. 7 seconds to shoot. Combs has to make something happen. And a rebound to Persons.
And that's exactly the defensive possession you want if you're Ball State. Force Combs to have to attack. Force Combs to have to shoot from the perimeter rather than attack. Once he gets inside, that's where he's most successful. Not necessarily a guy who likes to shoot a lot of threes at just 31% on the year.
And Persons, who is so efficient with the basketball on Wednesday against IU Kokomo with 14 assists and only 3 turnovers, turns away the possession for Ball State. It's been a struggling point for Ball State up to this season, a high number of turnovers. The fewest they've given away is 10. That was on Wednesday against IU Kokomo. Thomas, a transfer from Kent State, drives on Persons. Ball State 1 for 2 to start the game. IUPUI 1 for 3. Seven seconds to shoot. Persons nearly tracked down his own rebound. Last touch by IUPUI. Ball State basketball.
And I know that this Ball State team can really shoot the 3 ball just under 40% on the season, but that's not necessarily the 3-point one. You look right there. It went all the way around the perimeter, only touched the paint one time. The best 3-point looks you're going to get from Ball State is when you can get it inside to House or Moses, let them draw the double team, and kick it out.
Well, Ball State did have their best 3-point shooter in terms of percentage up to this point with the look in Taylor Persons, shooting 47%. However, has attempted the 3rd most threes, hasn't necessarily had to shoot from distance that much. An offensive foul on Franco House is his first and the team's first here in the first half. Coach Whitford of Ball State stressed to his team that this is a very experienced IUPUI team coming in here on Saturday in the 3 days leading up in preparation. One of those with experience. Hall spins lane. And a foul on Ball State's Franco House. 2 early fouls for the big fella.
And that's huge. We're not even 3 minutes into the game, and the 3rd leading scorer for this Ball State team, and Franco House, is now charged with 2 fouls. going to have to come out, and most likely you're going to see him out the rest of the 17 minutes. That's not something Coach Whitford likes to do, is play with guys in the first half that have 2 fouls.
Hall at the free throw line leaves the front end empty. The only player in the starting lineup that was originally committed to IUPUI didn't transfer into the Jaguars, a 6'7" sophomore out of Hinman, Kentucky. Did miss a month of the season last year due to injury. An injury suffered in practice during mid-January. IUPUI with full court pressure applied against Ball State. Perhaps sniffing out the fact that they have struggled with turnovers after this point of the season. Moses out high with a hand to Sean Sellers. A lob back for Moses and nearly intercepted by Thomas on what would have been the 4th turnover of the game for Ball State.
I think that's a really good read there by Sean Sellers, not necessarily from Trey Moses' part. Should have rolled to the lane a little bit more because he had an open lane to the basket.
Ball State with just 7 seconds to shoot. Kiapway defers Moses. Sellers, a catch and shoot 3.
That's the type of shot you want if you're Ball State, especially in a guy in Sean Sellers, who's a career 42% three-point shooter. An in-out kick from Moses drew the defense in, allowed Ball State to get an open 3.
A response 3 is mishandled by IUPUI, and Teague, one of the most efficient rebounders in the Mid-American Conference, grabs the rebound. Kiapway with a bounce to Moses. Ball State with their biggest lead of the game on this early one. It's 4-7-3.
And Ball State's had it going early both ways. We saw the 3-pointer from Sellers just a moment ago. That time attacking into the paint, drawing 2 defenders in. Nice bounce pass to Moses, who was able to finish it off with a slam.
Foul called on Teague, his first and the team's 3rd. All 3 fouls up at this point have been called on the bigs of Ball State. House with 2 early ones, Teague with 1. IUPUI 1 of 4 from the floor to start, and a travel's called on Patterson. Your impact player to watch, Noah, a kid out of Indianapolis, Indiana. This is his 4th school he's played at in college. Originally started as a commit to Indiana, did not play for the Hoosiers, transferred out, played 1 year of postgraduate prep school at Brewster Academy, then to wind up at Syracuse and now back home with still 2 years of eligibility for the Jaguars.
He's been all over the place, but he's a guy who can play at the high level. Committed to Indiana, as you said, 2 years at Syracuse, averaged 14 minutes per game, so a guy who played all over, now at IUPUI.
A foul called on IUPUI as Moses attacks the rim. Moses has been effective early.
Ball State getting it done early. Moses, the in-out kick to Sean Sellers, knocks down a 3. Next possession later, the guards reward Trey Moses. Bounce pass, finished with the dunk.
It's a gorgeous December afternoon in Muncie. Ball State with an early 7-3 lead over IUPUI. Two in-state teams. We check in with Mick Tidrow for the second time this afternoon.
Tyler, much has been made about the Indiana All-Stars that are on both squads here today. A total of 7 players dressing of Indiana All-Stars, and one of the top players, Taylor Persons for Ball State, has been one of the biggest improvers of this Ball State team here this season. He's been able to make an impact, scoring and assisting his veteran leadership just everywhere on the court, and especially his passion for the game has brought a different dynamic to this Ball State offense, and head coach James Whitford cannot praise Persons enough.
Well, he already has 2 rebounds. He's 0 for 1 from the floor. Has handled the point guard duties for Ball State. Persons said after the IU Kokomo game that he's always been the guy that whatever the team needs, he will do. And quote, he said, "I'll do whatever it takes."
And you kind of saw that early on in this season. He was a guy who started with back-to-back 20-point scoring games. They needed him to score to be able to win. As of late, it's been a different game. 8 assists in the game against Valpo last week. Then to Tuesday, 14 assists against IU Kokomo. That's the 4th most assist by a Ball State player ever.
Brennan off the bench for IUPUI. The kind roll of the iron. Despite being the team's leading scorer with Taylor Persons, he's struggled to score over the past couple, but he really hasn't been asked to score. Over the last 2 failed double figures, averaging 8 and 6 rebounds. 8 points, that is. Teague underneath with a finish.
And that's what Teague brings in off the bench, the athleticism. A guy who can draw you out, but then attacks all the way down the baseline, finishes through the contact.
The second best bench scorer for Ball State and the best bench rebounder for Ball State up to this point. Tap out of bounds by Ball State, gives it back to IUPUI, or keeps it with IUPUI. IUPUI 2 of 5 to start the game. Ball State 4 of 6 from the floor. Ball State's given it away 3 times. IUPUI just once. 8 seconds to shoot. Thomas on a ditch to Combs, off the bounce, leans in. And a rebound to Teague. Ball State wants to run. Persons with a full head of steam, outside Kiapaway, you betcha!
Francis Kiapaway, one of the best 3-point shooters this team has, shot at 40% a year ago, had a shooting slump to start the year. He had a season-high 18 points, hit 6 3-pointers against IU Kokomo, and picking up right where he left off on Tuesday.
Ball State was on an 11-3 run up to that Aaron Brennan bucket. An 11-5 run for Ball State. They lead by 6. Offensive fouls called underneath on Ball State. The bigs of Ball State have struggled staying out of foul trouble here early.
And it's coming down the offensive side. One of the 2 fouls for Franco House was an offensive foul. You see the same thing there from Trey Moses, and that's something you have to adjust. You have to realize that the officials down low are calling it a little bit tighter, a little bit of bump. You can't do that. Have to figure out a way other than being that much more physical than the opponent to get the ball down low.
Josh Thomas, DJ McCall both check in for IUPUI. McCall is 6'6" sophomore out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. One of those 7 Indiana All-Stars, played on the 2014 team with Taylor Persons, now matched up against him. Combs out top, 5 seconds to shoot, gets a screen by James. A dish outside Henderson. And IUPUI struggles to shoot the basketball here early. They're 3 of 7 from the floor, 0 for 3 rather from beyond the arc.
And that has a lot to do with Ball State's defense just forcing IUPUI to have to shoot from the perimeter.
Teague, a shot fight, gets by Brennan, and a foul called on Brennan.
Teague can really cause some mismatches just because he can bring you outside, but then he's going to be a lot quicker than a lot of other 4s playing down low. You see it right there, drives right around Brennan and draws the foul.
Teague redshirted last year for Ball State. The coaching staff felt as though he had all the athleticism that was necessary, but he wanted to make sure that they got a little extra muscle on Teague before giving him his 4 years of eligibility. Felt as though he made enough strides during the offseason and has really panned out for Ball State here at the early parts of his redshirt freshman year. Combs just beyond the foul line. Ball State basketball.
And if you talk to Whitford, he'll tell you that he's even made more strides this year, Tajay Teague has, because last year he got stronger and did some things offensively that made him better. But then you throw him into the fire this year as a redshirt freshman, and he's been able to play in games and realize what he needs to improve on. And he said already in the first month or so of the season, he's made even more strides than what he did last year.
Well, he said that after the IU Kokomo game, as you said. Improving at a much quicker rate, primarily because of his playing time. Second off the bench with 19 minutes per game. The lead is 8 for Ball State. And an offensive foul called on Brennan. That's the second on Brennan.
Jaguars foul number 45, Aaron Brennan, his second, team's third. Substitution UPUI, back in number 15, Matt O'Leary.
So both teams big, struggling with fouls here early. House with 2, Moses with 1 for Ball State. Brennan with 2 for IUPUI. Kiapaway, who started the final 17 games last year as the starting point guard for Ball State, with the handles of the offense, with Persons on the bench.
Jaguars foul number 11, Josh James, his first, team's fourth.
The foul on James. Kiapaway had to run the point guard position with Ball State lacking a true point guard last year. Not necessarily his natural position. However, was still able to shoot the basketball from distance. Was third in the MAC at 42% despite having to run the point guard duties. An athletic leap to the rim by McCall, but it's won away by Ball State. Gaye off the bench. Backdoor slip, Weber elevates, offensive foul.
And that's a great job by DJ McCall from the help side coming over. The original defender got beat. McCall steps in, takes the charge.
Ball State 6 of 10 from the floor. IUPUI 3 of 11. Ball State with an 8-point lead over the Jaguars.
Ball State up 8 early here in the first quarter, 11:35 remaining. Kick, Sean Sellers knocks down the 3. It's been a lot of three-point shooting for Ball State early on. Follow that up in transition, the kick, corner 3 from Kiapaway, knocks it down. Ball State, one of the best three-point shooting teams in the MAC, just under 40%.
That's second best in the Mid-American Conference, right behind the Ohio Bobcats. You take a look at the numbers. Ball State's 2 of 4 from beyond the arc, 4 of 6 to start the game. Francis Kiapaway leads all scorers with 5 up to this point. 6'3" junior out of Hamilton, Ontario. This IUPUI team trying to snap a 3-game losing skid. They've yet to win away from Indiana Coliseum, where they play their home games off of IUPUI's campus down in Indianapolis. McCall on the drive, a kick into the corner, three's off by Henderson. McCall stays busy though on the offensive glass. O'Leary, who can shoot from distance.
IUPUI not a great three-point shooting team, but when you give him the second chance opportunity, McCall does a nice job tracking down that rebound, kicked it out to O'Leary, who was wide open at the top of the key.
Well, Brian Thornton labeled O'Leary as potentially IUPUI's best player. Plays the 4 position as a power forward, but he's one of their better shooters from outside. Sellers from deep.
And that's a guy, if you're IUPUI, you don't want him to get going. The MAC Freshman of the Year 2 years ago as a freshman, he averaged 12 points per game, hit a school record for 3-pointers in a season as a freshman.
Sellers has failed to have double figures over the past 2 games. However, has still shot the ball well from beyond the arc. 50% in those games with 8 attempts. He's 2 for 2 to start. And O'Leary with the bang.
O'Leary doing it both ways, was outside, knocked down the 3, went down in the post, hit a nice turnaround jumper over his left shoulder.
Sellers, a heat check. And a collective sigh from the fans.
Like the aggression there from Franco House, back out on the floor with 2 fouls, and we're not even halfway through the first half, but chased down an offensive rebound, got himself the first bucket of the game.
House was sidelined early with 2 early personal fouls. McCall rises 3, back iron. The lead is 8 for Ball State. Looking for their 8th win over IUPUI in history. A relatively young history between these two, just the 12th meeting. O'Leary, who's played well as of late, off the rim and in.
And that's where IUPUI can get back into this game, is in transition. Take advantage of some Ball State turnovers. Thomas was out on the run, hit the trail man in O'Leary, who drove right down the lane.
Ball State still retains a 6-point lead. House goes to work on O'Leary. Chopway from the corner. Ball State by 6. Nick.
Sellers came off the bench earlier in the first half, and the athletic training staff came right up to him and asked if his chest was okay from the bronchitis that was hindering him against IU Kokomo. Didn't play in the second half, but he gave the thumbs up, pointed to the athletic training staff, and so far his impact has been felt in this first half.
Sellers with 6 points and a team high, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. Has been battling bronchitis, that's Sean Sellers, all week long. Only played 11 minutes due to that bronchitis against IU Kokomo. House with the pretty feed to Moses. Moses has 4.
And Ball State getting back to getting the ball inside. A nice drive from Franco House, was able to dish it over the top to Moses for an easy bucket, and that will open up the outside game even more.
O'Leary has scored the last 9 for IUPUI. Keeping the Jaguars in this one. The distance still 6 between them and Ball State. House glides lane and finishes.
And a couple of years ago, that's a play Franco House couldn't have made because he didn't have a jump shot. He's improved that over the last year or 2. Got the shot fake, got the defender up, was able to drive right past.
Well, Matt O'Leary is certainly feeling it. 14 points in double figures for a 7th straight game and a career best. Sellers trying to equal as the 2 in-state players trading threes back and forth, O'Leary and Sellers. Both teams starting to heat up from distance. Sean Sellers for Ball State, IUPUI's Matt O'Leary. 27-19, Ball State on top of IUPUI.
Really good player. He's a senior, fifth-year senior who transferred from Loyola. He's an Indiana kid, and he plays the 4 position for them, but he's also their best post player and one of their better shooters. So he's a guy we have to do an excellent job on to slow down.
Well, and he's been playing well, especially as of late. 7 consecutive double-figure games for Matt O'Leary of IUPUI. He already has 14, has yet to miss from the floor, 6 of 6, 2 of 2 from beyond the arc.
Well, you can see why he leads the team and is in top 5 in the Summit Conference in field goal percentage, 53%, a guy who takes a lot of great shots. He can pull out on the outside, knock down the 3, goes down in the paint, scores easily down there as well.
Over the last 7 games, he's had his first career double-double, also a career high against SIU Edwardsville. Here today, well on his way to potentially a new career high. Already 14, a little over midway through the opening half. Ball State, though, has stayed afloat with the shooting of Sean Sellers. Leads the team with 9. IUPUI, though, trying to cut into this 8-point lead. Off the bounce, Hall denied by Teague. Hall keeps it back, though.
You love the ability of Hall to stay with it right there. Got stuffed at the rim by Tajay Teague coming over from the weak side. Stuck with it, was able to go up strong, draw the foul.
2 shots for Evan Hall.
We've made so much about this Indiana All-Stars. 7 of them total between Ball State and IUPUI. But you can add really to that list another one. Evan Hall, who is a Kentucky All-Star, which is the other part of that equation for the Indiana All-Stars. The best 13 seniors from the state of Indiana will play the best 13 seniors from the state of Kentucky. One of those in 2015, Evan Hall, who's at the line right now. Ball State has led a majority of the opening half. The lead currently 6. Persons back into the game at point guard. Team leader in points for Ball State at 16. House trying to get out of a double team. It's stolen by IUPUI. Thomas on the run.
And that turnover down here on Ball State's side of the floor, already 6 turnovers here in the first half, and that's something that's going to allow IUPUI to stick in the game, and that's what they've done. And along with the play of Matt O'Leary, who has 14 points, it's been the defense for IUPUI, not allowing Ball State to get as many possessions, and then when they get those turnovers, they run in transition, and that's where IUPUI is at their best, when Ball State's half-court defense cannot get set up.
Ball State has struggled with turnovers, as we've mentioned. The fewest times they've given away was 10 against IU Kokomo on Wednesday. The most against Valpo the game before this past weekend, 23 times. They've only won the turnover margin 1 time. That was against IU Kokomo. They've tied it once in a loss against Indiana State here in Worthen earlier this year. Teague steps inside the arc. And a rebound to Combs.
And I know Teague has that ability to shoot that, but he's more of a guy you want down in the post or shot fake, get the defender to move and drive around them and get a bucket near the basket because of how athletic he is. Not necessarily your best shooter or the guy you want out there shooting the ball.
Patterson off the bounce back iron, and Teague clears for the rebound. Teague's biggest contributions offensively and defensively have come off the glass this season, leading the team in rebounds per minute. Grabbing a rebound nearly every 2.5 minutes he plays.
Jaguars foul 0. Darrell Combs, his first, team spin.
He has a game high 5 today. That's Teague. The redshirt freshman for James Whitford in his 4th season as a head coach. Persons off the house screen at the free throw line. And Maller's a freshman with an offensive board. Teague wants 3. Kyle Mallers, who has contributed the 3rd most bench minutes this season for Ball State, who stayed active on the glass offensively on that pass possession. 15 minutes per game. He has played 15-plus minutes, so 5 times, and when he has, Ball State's 4-1 this season. O'Leary with a game-high 14 for IUPUI. The usual leading scorer, Combs.
A lot of trouble offensively for the bigs down low, both sides. It's happened 2 or 3 times to Ball State, now twice on that foul on Evan Hall, excuse me. But the guys down low being extremely physical, pushing off a little bit, and that's caused 4 or 5 offensive fouls in the paint to be called.
Hull has 1. Brennan has 2 off of the bench for IUPUI. Moses and House both with 2, and playing House off the mark from 3.
It's been a long time since Ball State has gotten the ball in the paint. I know Sean Sellers shooting the ball well, knocking down 3 threes, but it's time to go back inside and draw an in-out kick.
O'Leary takes Moses off the bounce and is called for extra steps. Well, Ball State has done a very nice job of keeping Ron Patterson in check up to this point. Scoreless for IUPUI, the 6'2 junior, who Noah highlighted during the top of the broadcast as an impact player to watch for the Jaguars. Moses posting against Hall. Patterson off the steal. Patterson has been one of the better 3-point shooters for IUPUI this season. 41%, but wasn't necessarily known as a 3-point shooter in his days at Syracuse, where he played 2 seasons under Jim Boeheim.
Cardinals foul, number 41, Trey Moses.
Moses called for his 3rd.
And really the jump shot of Ron Patterson is what allowed him to have such a good season coming back and not playing last year as a transfer, averaging 11 points per game. And it's because he's shooting 43% from the field and a team high 41% from the 3-point line. At Syracuse, he was a guy who was going to get to the basket and score, didn't have much of a jump shot. That's completely changed. A lot of that due to last year sitting out, something he worked on quite a bit.
Well, that's something that he did in high school as well, was slashed to the basket. At Broad Ripple High School in Indianapolis, was a top 100 ESPN recruit. He's ranked the 25th best shooting guard in his class of 2012. O'Leary off the mark for the first time this afternoon. Mallers. And House keeps the offensive rebound for Ball State. Persons gets O'Leary into the air. Mallers free throw line jumper, back iron. Ball State by 6, led by Sean Sellers with 9, but balanced scoring for Ball State. 7 different players have scored. They lead by 6 on ESPN 3. Okay.
All right, thanks. Now time for the vsI shootout. Chris in the goal, power shooter. Chris.
All right, thank you, Jay. Hayes and Sons is the crowd restoration provider for Ball State Athletics, and Cameron's ready to go. He's got his basketball. He's going to make 9 shots in 45 seconds for fabulous prizes. Isn't that right? All right, he's excited. Going to get 45 seconds on the clock. Cameron, the H is up first. On your mark. Get set and go.
And Noah, feel like you can dominate more.
When many people think IUPUI basketball, the name George Hill stands out. A standout at IUPUI, a career 17 points per game. And when he committed to IUPUI, his great-grandfather was hurting, he was in pain, he was ailing. And when he passed away, George Hill decided to continue his commitment to IUPUI. He had such a big impact on that school, 17 points a game, and he's also helped out the development of a current player in Ron Patterson. So George Hill, a former Indiana Pacer, and he's been somebody that's helped out this IUPUI team ever since he left the campus.
Thanks, Mick. And that he has from Broad Ripple High School, where Ron Patterson also played his high school ball. Hill then went on from IUPUI to now a successful career in the NBA. He's been with the Indiana Pacers for several years now, this year with his first season with the Utah Jazz. But a connection between him and Patterson, both playing at Broad Ripple High School. Both were Indiana All-Stars. When Patterson was in high school, Hill was playing for the Pacers in his hometown. Provide just maybe a little bit of extra motivation if you're Patterson.
Yeah, you would think so. A guy that had such a successful career, went on to have a great career here at IUPUI, then into the NBA. Is something that you think about Broad Ripple High School, and it's George Hill, and then it's Ron Patterson right behind him.
Persons with a three-pointer for Ball State, extending their lead back to 9. Hasn't been asked to score over the past 2 games. Failing to reach double figures, however, has facilitated well in that stretch with 11 assists per game. Hall underneath.
He hasn't needed to do the scoring because, like you said, the facilitator, a 14-assist game on Tuesday night against IU Kokomo, but that's just it. He's a do-it-all point guard. He can score if he needs to. We saw that early on. Back-to-back 20-point games to start the season. He still is the team's leading scorer at 16 points per game.
There's the most assists by a Cardinal since 1998 with those 14 assists. Sellers already has 9, looking for double figures. Patterson clears the board, still scoreless for IUPUI. Nearly lost the ball, but right into the hands, fortuitously, of Combs.
The transition defense for Ball State has been great so far today. Even off of misses or turnovers, you're seeing them get back quickly on defense, not allowing IUPUI to get many buckets on the run.
Cardinals foul for 33, Ryan Weber, his second.
Foul called on Weber.
Team's 9.
Next foul
It'll be a 1-1 for the
puts IUPUI in the double bonus. Combs at the line, a lethal scorer for IUPUI, but has been held scoreless up to this point. The 10th best free throw shooter out of the Summit League. Last year was named the Summit League Player of the Week for the week of February 29th. He averaged 32 points over 2 games, scoring above 30 in both against South Dakota and Fort Wayne, the Mastodons. He was the first IUPUI player to have 30-plus points in consecutive games since, who do you think? George Hill. January 2008 when Hill did it for the Jaguars. But Combs, up to this point, Ball State's defense has held him in check with just 2 points. He has attempted 5 shots from the floor.
And the reason because that is those 5 field goal attempts have come from around the perimeter. Combs is a guy who wants to get to the basket and score like that, tries to get defenders up in the air, can blow right past him because of his speed. But the Ball State on-ball defense as well as the help side has been there, forcing him to shoot perimeter jump shots, and that was one key coming in tonight, is force IUPUI to have to shoot from outside. Don't let them get inside, because if they can drive in and attack, they can beat you that way.
Well, Ball State has had success in defending the field goal percentage of the opposing team this year. Around the middle of the pack in the Mid-American Conference at 5th at 42%, but last year was a top 40 team nationally at defending the jump shot. IUPUI 9 for 23 up to this point from the floor, 2 for 8 from beyond the arc. Ball State's lead has shriveled down to 5. The foul called on IUPUI is Combs. Sets Moses at the line. Rather, Hall, his second.
Jaguars foul number 24, Evan Hall, his second. Team's 8. Back in for the Cardinals, Tashi T, 1-1, Trey Moses.
This is the 3rd in-state game on Ball State's schedule of Division I teams, not counting the IU Kokomo game of the NAIA. A loss at Valparaiso, a loss to Indiana State here at home. Trying to at least get one win over an in-state team. IUPUI is trying to look for their first road win of the season. 0-5 away from Indiana Coliseum down in Indianapolis. Shot clock down to 6 seconds. O'Leary, who had the hot hand early, loses the ball in the lane. Person's running. Weber, a catch and shoot three.
All set up by Taylor Person. Saw in the corner of his eye that he had Ryan Weber running down the right side of the floor. Drew the defense in towards the middle. Had two defenders come in on him. Was able to kick it out for a wide open three from Weber.
The answer by IUPUI's Combs, his first field goal from the floor. Ball State has attempted nearly double what IUPUI has from beyond the arc. Teague taking O'Leary off the bounce. Foul called on IUPUI. Next foul for either team puts the opposition in double bonus.
2 shots for Tajay Teague.
Nice job there by Teague. Was able to go down the right side, spin over, and that's what makes him so lethal on the offensive side. We've talked about his defense. We've talked about him being able to rebound the ball, but on offense, because he can draw a defender out, he has a little bit of a jump shot. It forces the defender to have to come out, and at the 4 position, he's a lot more athletic than a lot of other 4s. He can take you off the dribble and beat you off the dribble. That time it forced O'Leary to have to foul him.
Teague missing on the front half, the redshirt freshman out of Indianapolis playing at Pike High School. Misses the second one as well. And a timeout to Jason Gardner. That is the first timeout called by Jason Gardner. Season 4 of Out of the Shadows is set to debut within the next week. The Emmy Award-winning all-access basketball show featuring the Ball State men's basketball team, produced by Ball State SportsLink. The lead is 6 for Ball State, 35-29. They have controlled a majority of this first half, though, and it's been defensively, but they've got the job done. The top 2 leading scorers for IUPUI, Combs and Patterson, have both been kept in check.
And that's exactly it, and it's because Ball State's forcing them to have to shoot from the perimeter. IUPUI, not a good perimeter shooting team, just 36% from behind the three-point line, and they've had to attempt quite a few of them. 8 already in tonight's game for IUPUI, and it's because the defense is there, and it's just not on-ball defense, it's the help side. If you watch, all of Ball State's defenders from the weak side are sagging into the lane and forcing IUPUI to have to do everything outside.
Final minute of the opening half. A 6-point lead. IUPUI trying to cut into that lead, headed into the break. Thomas, a transfer from Kent State. Offensive fouls called.
Taylor Person just moving the feet that time, was able to read it, slid over to his left a little bit, was able to draw the player control foul.
Thomas absolutely lit Ball State up last year when he was a Kent State Golden Flash. 20 points for Kent State, was 4 of 9 from the floor, got to the free throw line 12 times. So far today, just 2 points in the start for IUPUI, the grad student. A 6-point lead for Ball State, and a technical foul has been handed out by Tyler Kumpf to Jason Gardner. Gardner has been in the ear of Kumpf over the last 4 possessions.
And sometimes as a coach, that's not a terrible thing. You're in the face of the official. It makes them think a little bit more about making some of the calls. And really what it does for your players on the floor is fire them up. It shows that your coach has your back. He's helping you out, trying to get you some more calls. And if anything, that just makes the team that much more excited, fires them up a little bit to keep playing.
Sellers can't capitalize for Ball State on the technical foul shots. Gardner, the third-year man. His first head coaching job at the collegiate ranks was an assistant at Memphis, an assistant at Loyola up in Chicago. When he took the job, he said he's determined to rebuild this IUPUI program, as he stated to the athletic directors down in Indianapolis. And he said he specifically wants to do it with Indiana kids and Indiana talent. 13 of the 17 on his roster right now, all from the Indiana estate, 5 of them from the Indianapolis city. The lead is 7. Ball State looking for one more look before halftime. About a 4-second differential between the shot clock and game clock. Weber for 3 in the corner. No foul called on the contact. Henderson ahead for Patterson. Well, it's been hot shooting for Ball State, 6 of 16 from beyond the arc. But O'Leary has kept IUPUI in it with 14.
It's been all three-point shooting. Ball State connecting on 6 three-pointers, 3 of which from Sean Sellers, has Ball State up by 7 at the half.
Back at halftime, 36-29, Ball State leads IUPUI here at halftime. I'm Mick Tidrow. This Ball State offense led in scoring by Sean Sellers here today with 10 points, 3 three-pointers for Sean Sellers. Well, Ball State Sportsline caught up with the Out of the Shadows crew earlier this preseason and talked with Caleb Mallory and the rest of the Ball State basketball team.
Problem is, you only have 30 seconds to go. I might encourage you to bounce the ball if you are not getting any traction on your shot. So 30 seconds on the clock, please. On your mark, get set, and go. See, it works just like that. We're trying to give away prizes here. 1 card in, time is ticking for Maggie. She's got 2 cards to go. 20 seconds. Myers gets card already in the works.
Was that a
Maybe bounce. Or 10 seconds. 2 cards in. Let's see what she's got. 10 seconds to go. Gotta get that ball away in the seconds.
Today we're doing Ball State Media Day, basically for SportsLink.
You know, as a team, like, we've really been looking forward to this since last year. I think we had a lot of fun with it.
Really excited for the season. Our guys love this opportunity just to have fun, and we get to have on our beautiful new video board.
Yeah, we're really excited, especially with our scrimmage this Saturday. We're tired of playing each other, you know, ready to play somebody else.
For our team, it's like been a long summer, put a lot of time in. For me, it's been a year and a half since I played basketball, like competitively with like another team, so it's excitement through the roof. I'm just excited to be out there with my team, and we're out here to prove people that we can play with anyone.
Is there anyone individually that you would point out that you feel like can't guard you on a team?
Let me see. You.
Oh. Is there anybody that you would seriously consider that can't guard you on a team?
I'd definitely say guys kind of treat me as the little brother of the team, I guess. Even as a senior, I'm still kind of the little brother. And I don't know if that's because I'm small or whatever, but I mean, it's all good. I've just kind of embraced that role, and everybody likes me and stuff, so I don't have any problems with anybody. And it's just kind of a role I embraced. Scout team guys, we just run like the other teams play. So if we're running Kent State, like we'll run Kent State's plays. We'll imitate their players. So if a guy has tendencies to drive right or something, like they'll tell you, hey, this guy drives right a lot, so you need to do that. And that just helps those guys in the game be able to get used to, you know, guarding those guys in an actual game. I would say my motivation is just, you know, just to finish strong. Like I've been here all 3 years, and I just want to leave here knowing that I did everything that I can. I really want to go to Cleveland at least once, so I hopefully we can get a MAC championship, or win the MAC West, or maybe even get to the NCAA tournament or the NIT. But I just want the team to succeed at the end of the day. And I just really want to go to Cleveland and maybe win the MAC championship. That's the ultimate goal.
for the women. It's next Thursday.
Ball State and IUPUI at halftime. It's 36-29. Ball State leads IUPUI. Matt O'Leary for IUPUI, a game-high 14 points. Sean Sellers for Ball State, 10 points, 3 of 3 from beyond the arc. Sellers has been key, and so has Matt O'Leary here today. Well, you may know him as the man who fell out of the chair all this time at Georgia State against the Baylor team in the NCAA tournament in that upset game. Before that, he used to coach at IUPUI. That is Ron Hunter. During his coaching days at IUPUI, he started making an even greater impact off the court than on. Hunter was a heavy donator to the Samaritan Feet charity. He had taken 8 teams overseas to see how third world countries operated, and he wanted his kids to see the impact that they could make off the court. And those trips are about the players checking in with the world around them, and his players saw that, looked at those kids, they washed their feet, they gave them shoes. And not to mention Ron Hunter, 10-0 in his career when coaching barefoot, including 4-0 during his coaching career at IUPUI. That's the tie between Ron Hunter and IUPUI. If you'd like to help and cause this, or help donate to the cause, visit SamaritansFeet.mytap.org. Ball State 36-29 lead over IUPUI here at halftime inside Worthen Arena. Back inside Worthen Arena, it's Ball State 36, IUPUI 29 here in Muncie, Indiana. The hot shooting of Matt O'Leary and Sean Sellers, respectively, for IUPUI and Ball State, leading both teams. IUPUI started things off hot with a three-pointer by Matt O'Leary. He continued his hot shooting in that first half with a couple of buckets and a nice drive against the Ball State defense. And O'Leary, the game-high 14 points, going against this defense of Ball State, especially in the low post, working it outside as well. But Franco House working inside for Ball State, of course, on a couple of possessions. Did have foul trouble, however, for Ball State in that first half. That hampered his ability to play his significant minutes. And Sean Sellers letting it fly from deep. He has 10 points, 9 of those coming on three-pointers. And then it was a tee blocked by Ball State. And some nice defense by the rest of the Ball State team. And Taylor Persons, his first 2 points on a jumper. And then Taylor Persons lets one fly from 3. And that gave Ball State the 36-29 lead. And Ball State shooting 14 of 29 from the field, out-rebounding IUPUI here today. Points in the paint have come to be the norm for Ball State with Franco House and Trey Moses here this season. But it's the three-point shooting here today that's made a major impact with Sean Sellers and Matt O'Leary. 36-29, Ball State leads IUPUI at halftime.
Ball State led for nearly 17 minutes in the opening half. Their biggest lead was once 9. It is currently 7 at the start of the second half, getting the job done defensively. Two of the top scorers for IUPUI, Combs and Patterson. Combs with just 4, averages 17. Patterson, a double-figure score, has yet to score for IUPUI. Ball State holding them underneath their season average from the floor in terms of field goal percentage and from beyond the arc in three-point percentage.
IUPUI need to get somebody going besides Matt O'Leary. Besides him, the team is 4 of 18 from the field, just 22%, struggling to find the basket.
Well, they got a good look from Combs, except for he couldn't cash in. Ball State trying to take advantage, but Moses leaves it a bit short. Thomas on the accelerator into the front court and gives away for the 9th time for IUPUI. Sellers coasting the other end, and Patterson got up top, but is called for a goaltend.
Nice job by the Ball State defense. Really started that, getting the turnover. Franco House immediately looked up, outlet up to Sean Sellers for a quick bucket. And that's what Ball State needs to do on the offensive side of the floor, is not only run, but get the ball inside. It's easy to fall into the trap of shooting from the perimeter, hitting 6 3-pointers in the first half, but those have come because of the in-out kicks, getting the ball into the paint to Moses and House, the two big guys down low.
Biggest lead of the game matched right here. It's 9. Patterson on the hesitation. Stays with IUPUI. That goaltend by Patterson gives Sean Sellers double figures for the first time in 3 games. It's the 3rd time this season that Sellers has scored in double figures. O'Leary underneath for Hall. Count a foul with it.
You would figure it'd be one of the 3 guards for IUPUI to be that second hand to Matt O'Leary, but if it has to be Evan Hall, then that's the case. Doing a nice job down there in the paint. A lot of the defense going over towards O'Leary because of the first half that he had, scoring 14 points. Left Hall underneath open, got an and one opportunity.
Just a bit short by Hall. A chance of air balls ran into the smiling Hall. And full court pressure applied by IUPUI. Franco House, who was sidelined during the first half with early foul trouble. Persons off the bounce and in.
Just what you want to see, getting the ball into the paint, about a 15-foot jumper there from Persons. We talked about him being a facilitator lately, 11 assists per game in the past 2, but let's not forget he's the team's leading scorer at 16 per game.
Can also score the ball, facilitate it. Persons against Coppin State over the Thanksgiving holiday in Las Vegas had a double-double, 19 points and 10 assists. It's the first points, assists, double-doubles for Ball State since Randy Davis did it 6 years ago in 2010. IUPUI down by 9, trying to cut into what is the biggest lead of the game. Combs. That may have found his stroke.
And that's not what you want for Ball State. Combs has struggled all first half long. Shooting the basketball was just 1 of 7 prior to that, but got a big one to go early on in the second half. Team's leading scorer, you don't want him to get going.
And he's 1 for 3 from beyond the arc. 16 points per game. Kiapway with the answer, right in front of Combs.
A guy who has been struggling all season long prior to the last couple games is Francis Kiapway, struggling to shoot the 3 ball after being a 42% three-point shooter a year ago. But Kiapway knocks down that one. That's his second three-pointer of the game.
A 3rd foul on Franco House. Early foul trouble again to start the second half for House.
But he did a nice job rebounding from the foul trouble early on. The first 3 minutes into the game, he had 2 fouls and then still played quite a bit of minutes in the last 17 minutes of the first half and didn't pick up another one.
He remains on the floor, and Combs has hit back-to-back three-pointers. He's in double figures now for the 7th time this season.
You said it a possession ago, he might have found his stroke, and that might be the case if you're Combs. 10 points for him, knocked down his second three-pointer. He averages over 16 points a game, team's leading scorer. When they went on the road to a Big Ten foe, Michigan, a couple weeks ago, he scored 20+.
That was one of their 5 losses this season. Entered at a mark at 2-5. Have yet to win away from Indiana Coliseum. Persons rattles in from straight away. Back to the biggest lead of the game, 9 for Ball State. Trading baskets back and forth from beyond the arc. It's been Combs.
That's my bad, Tyler.
No, you're good. Yeah, just keep in mind that if you need program,
Yeah, I got you.
In fact, if I were you, I'd just watch this monitor. Biggest lead of the game is matched right now for Ball State. It's currently 9-46-37. Trying to win for the 8th time over IUPUI in history. One of their double-figure scorers, Patterson, still scoreless. 0 for 3 from the floor. All 3 shots coming from beyond the arc. Combs has kept his team in it as of late, cashing in on back-to-back 3-pointers, and Thomas is on the board for the first time here in the second half. His 4th point of the afternoon.
Nice attack there by Thomas. He was a Kent State transfer a year ago, had 20 points when Kent State came here to Ball State. The defense of Ball State, very aware of what he can do, has held him in check almost all game long.
When he was a borderline all-conference player for the Golden Flashes last season. Out top Persons, 9 seconds to shoot. Can make something happen off the bounce. And Ball State thought that the last touch was off of IUPUI. Whitford and Persons both stating their cases, and the call's reversed. That clearly looked like it was off the palm of Brennan. Brennan only played 4 minutes in the first half in foul trouble. He's matched up with Moses here. Moses underneath.
Pretty look from Taylor Persons. Did a nice job coming off the screen, off the ball screen, rolled around, found a wide open Moses underneath, and that's what Ball State's done a nice job here in the second half, is getting the ball inside, getting buckets, and then when it gets inside, the defense collapse. It allows the in-out kick, and you've seen 8 3-pointers rather for Ball State tonight.
Persons on the run, rolls around and out. Moses, though, cleans up the job. Moses has scored the last 2 for Ball State. It's 6 for Moses, and Ball State has their biggest lead of the game, 11.
And Moses does a nice job of getting a lot of buckets off the offensive glass. The last 6 games, he's been shooting 63% from the field. Not a guy that's going to take bad shots, everything in around the paint, and he converts on it.
Top 5 within the conference in field goal percentage, Trey Moses. 6'9" sophomore out of Louisville, Kentucky. Was rated as the 3rd best recruit in Kentucky out of his class. Brennan into the lane, foul called. Well, it's the biggest lead of the game for Ball State, 50-39, but Darrell Combs has heated up recently. He's in double figures with 10. 4
Last
points, he
4.
has 6.
Moses has 9 points.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he had 5 at the break.
All right, fans, let's now meet our Hoosier Lottery Lucky Row winners. Those lucky fans in Section B, row. Section B, row G.
Back-to-back buckets from Trey Moses has Ball State up by 11 points. The under-16 media timeout had just 5 points at the break, but 2 back-to-back buckets the last 4 points for Ball State. Off the offensive rebound, Moses puts it in. He's second on the team, shooting nearly 60% from the field.
And second on the team in scoring today, now with 9. A kid that really exploded during their CIT run last year. The College Insiders Tournament averaged double figures with 13 points and 8 rebounds. Has been a very, very, very pleasant surprise for Coach Whitford and the transition he's made throughout the course of his freshman year from where he started to where he ended during the CIT run, but also here as a starter into his sophomore season.
And that's been the biggest thing, continuously getting more time. He was a guy last season, we talked about the CIT run that he had where he exploded, had 3 really good games at the end of the season, but now as a sophomore is even stronger, not having some of that sophomore slump that you typically hear about, a guy who's taken off strong, shooting 63% from the field in the last 6 games.
Speaking of sophomore slump, Aaron Brennan, who experienced one last year, hit both free throws with 4. Had limited minutes in the first half and foul trouble with 4. Ball State with a 3-on-2 fast break. Elects to pull things out. House on the drive, offensive foul, and that's the 4th on House. He's been playing here in the second half with 3 personal fouls. The team's second leading scorer at 14 points per game. One of the best decision makers on the floor, an accurate field goal shooter. He now has 4 with just under 16 minutes to go in the game.
Come on! 4 fouls to 0. Call them up both ends.
The lead is still 9 for Ball State. 14 fouls on Ball State. IUPUI yet to commit one. Brennan, a graduate of Guerin Catholic High School in Noblesville, backs it on Moses. Looked like pinball there at the top of the rim, and it's Ball State basketball out.
IUPUI doing a nice job on the offensive glass there, just couldn't convert on it. And IUPUI now in this full court press trying to speed up Ball State. We've talked about the turnover troubles that Ball State's had. Over 100 turnovers through the first 7 games. IUPUI really good at forcing teams into turnovers, and that's what they're looking for with the full court press.
Tiapwe off the Moses kick. Seems relatively simple. Speed up the pace, maybe make Ball State make some questionable decisions.
But here in the last couple possessions, it's been just the opposite. Ball State getting good looks at the basket. IUPUI, even in transition, turning the basketball over.
That's the 10th turnover on the Jaguars. Moses underneath. He's in double figures, 5th time this season.
Moses just has such great awareness around the basket, especially off of the offensive glass. Did a nice job of staying with it, just got the tap in.
And he's very efficient too. Brennan just in and out. Moses was 5 of 7 in last year's game against IUPUI here in Worthen, which was a 3-point win for Ball State. This season shooting just underneath 60% and top 5 within the Mid-American Conference.
And he has 6 rebounds, 4 of which have come on the offensive glass.
Ball State as a team with 5 offensive rebounds, rather 11 offensive rebounds compared to IUPUI's 5. Double screen set out top as Sellers defers with Teague. Ball State loses the handle for their 10th turnover of the game. That matches the number against IU Kokomo on Wednesday, which was a season low. Combs splits two defenders, attacks against Moses. A foul is called. Combs appears to be in some pain on the landing off of a nice split.
And Teague right there said he had his hands up, which he did, but left his feet in the air, and that's the reason for the foul.
Combs appears to be fine up, walking on his feet. Darrell Combs, a senior out of Chicago, Illinois. This is his third stop in terms of schools in his collegiate career. Started at Bling College for a year in 2012-2013, led the team in scoring at 17 points per game, then transferred and played for a year at Eastern Michigan, team in the MAC West with Ball State. Played for a year, had 6 starts, averaged a decent 8 points in 15 minutes per game. Now has led IUPUI in scoring the past 2 seasons. Second on the team in scoring here today with 12 behind O'Leary's 14, which was all scored in the first half. Ball State has kept themselves at an arm's length from IUPUI throughout the course here of the game. An 11-point lead. Sellers, who had the hot hand early, skips off and out.
That's a really good look for Sean Sellers, though. Ball was fumbled around a little bit. Ryan Weber caught it in the paint. A nice kick out to Sean Sellers in the right corner. Nobody around Sellers, just couldn't convert on the three-pointer.
Sellers, one of the better three-point shooters for Ball State. Came in with the most three-pointers made with 14. He's hit 3 today, give him 17 on the season. Top 15 in three-pointers made for a Ball State career. Weber nearly loses the ball on the baseline. Backdoor slip, Teague hesitates. And IUPUI for a chance to make this a 7-point game. Combs looking for 3, left it short. And the rebound to Tajay Teague. First off the bench and rebounding for Ball State.
The Ball State offense has become a little bit stagnant, not really moving it around, and that's what had so much success in the first half, was because they got the ball in, was able to kick it out, knock down 6 3-pointers in the first half, but a lot of good happens when you can get the ball into the post and then move around the perimeter.
Ball State was 6 of 16 from beyond the arc in the first half, 2 for 4 from beyond the arc here in the second half. Henderson off the bench with his first personal foul on the Kiapaway drive. Dudu Gaye, the transfer from South Carolina State, posting against James. Kiapaway attacks against the taller Brennan. And the foul is on Brennan, who saw limited minutes in the first half in foul trouble. Only played 4 minutes, is the most frequent bench player for IUPUI, leading the team in bench minutes at 20 per game. That's his 3rd personal foul as Kiapaway at the free throw line. Kiapaway started the season in a shooting slump. His first 5 games averaged 6 points, was 3 for 21 from beyond the arc. However, has since then kind of broken out of the slump over the past 2 games, averaging 17 points and shooting 57% from beyond the arc. 9 for 16. Combs spins, lane, foul, and a bucket.
Combs with a great attack there, and I think that Gaye needs to step up one more step into the paint there, because on that spin, if he's 1 step up, Combs doesn't have a shot. Instead, gets the bucket to go, plus the foul.
Combs only had 4 points in the first half. He's had 10 here in the second half. Has taken matters into his own hands, just like Matt O'Leary, who checked into the game, did in the first half for IUPUI.
And I talked about somebody stepping up and being that second guy to help O'Leary out, who had the 14 first half points. Well, it's Combs. He has 10 points here in the second half.
Make it 11 and 15 for the game. Let's check in with Mick Tidrow.
Matt O'Leary's had a major impact here tonight in this game. 14 points for the IUPUI forward, and head coach James Whitford of Ball State talked about how important it would be to stop O'Leary early this week at practice. He was concerned about Ron Patterson, who has been held scoreless today, but also O'Leary, who busted out in that first half with those 14 points. And Jason Gardner, the head coach of IUPUI, has been familiar with O'Leary during the course of his career because the two were paired at Loyola for 2 seasons, and O'Leary transferred to IUPUI once he heard Gardner was going there as well.
And a bit of a run for IUPUI. The deficit's down to 5.
Darrell Combs just 4 points in the first half. Tack on 11 more here in the second. It has IUPUI within 5.
Sometimes that's the hardest part of the whole thing. Ryan's got the ball. He makes it. There's still time. Ryan is your winner, but a big man for break. He did get the jersey up there. That's how you play the next really high-speed race. Back to you, Johnny.
Fans of our Wicks winning road today, Section C, Row E. Congratulations and enjoy those Wicks pies. That's Section C, Row E.
IUPUI has made things interesting here at the midway point of the second half. Ball State 53, IUPUI 48. This is the slimmest it's been in quite some time, Noah.
It went back and forth between 9 and 11 for a while. It was all Ball State. The offense was moving, but since then, IUPUI able to get a couple buckets down low, especially from Darrell Combs.
Combs had 4 in the first half, now has 15. He scored 11 in just roughly 8 minutes here in the second half. One person that Ball State has done a very nice job at keeping and containing has been Ron Patterson, who was Noah's impact player to watch. He is scoreless up to this point. Taylor Persons, on the other hand, is in double figures with 10. Player that averages just underneath 16 points per game. So the defensive job on Patterson has been stellar, keeping him in check and scoreless. He's 0 for 3 from the floor.
And Patterson is getting some good looks, but it's a lot of Ball State's defense causing that, making him shoot the ball outside. He is still a pretty good three-point shooter, but Patterson would rather attack the glass. It's been a team defensive effort, which is what I said Ball State needed to do. They've done exactly that in keeping Patterson scoreless.
Ball State has led a majority of the way. Went for nearly 17 minutes in the first half and has led the entire second half. But their lead, once 9, now down to 5. Teague just outside the lane, rattles out. And DJ McCall, an athletic wing, comes flying in for the rebound. Thomas takes Kiapway to the hole. And a fight for it underneath, McCall and Weber. Weber wants a jump ball, but a foul is called instead. Jason Gardner likes what he sees.
IUPUI done a much better job in the second half just attacking the offensive glass. Thomas gets one. Now DJ McCall gets the rebound and gets to head to the free throw line as he was fouled by Weber.
DJ McCall steps to the foul line. Shooting in the 1-and-1. But IUPUI buys an extra possession on the tap out by House. Ball State has dominated points in the paint for a majority of the game. Right now currently +6, which was the margin at halftime. Thomas to the cup. And the kind bounce for the graduate transfer from Kent State.
It's been all IUPUI guards here in the second half. Thomas and Combs just getting to the basket at will. That's something the Ball State defense shut down in the first half. Much different here in the second half. IUPUI made some halftime adjustments, being a lot more aggressive, getting to the basket. You're seeing it pay off in a one-possession game.
The deficit is 3 in a collision. Thomas and Moses. Foul called on Kellen Thomas. IUPUI has just continued to chip away at this Ball State lead. It's been as many as 9 in the first half, 11 here in the second half. Currently Ball State with a 3-point lead, 53-50. The foul called on Kellen Thomas. It's been a 9-1 run for IUPUI since Ball State led by 11. House, and the attempt to dump off for Moses. And the 11th turnover of the game for Ball State. They wanted to keep the mark under 12 as a goal today set by James Whitford and his staff. TJ Henderson running the point guard. One of 5 players from Indianapolis. Inside, and it's a one-possession game off the Hall arc.
Perfect ball movement that time, swung it around the perimeter, then a post feed inside to Hall. Nobody around him, able to finish with the slam. We've got a 1-point game.
Ball State has to stop the bleeding. Ball State's lead, once 11, is now down to 1. 53-52, and IUPUI has just slowly chipped away at it.
And it's just possession by possession. They're not trying to get all 11 points, which was what the lead was just a moment ago. Not trying to get all 11 points back at one time. Doing a great job on the defensive side of the floor, forcing some Ball State turnovers. And on the offensive side, it's been Combs and Thomas, the 2 guards, getting into the paint. That time a dump down to Hall for the dunk. They're getting buckets inside. What they were doing in the first half, they weren't getting the ball in the paint. They were kicking it out, shooting 3-pointers, contested 3-pointers at that. Now here in the second half, everything has come in the paint for IUPUI. That's the way they like to play.
Well, this is the second consecutive year that these two teams have played here in Worthen Arena. Last year, it was a 61-58 Ball State win, led by Francis Kiapaway. It was a nice non-conference win for Ball State. Kiapaway with 13 points. He was 2 for 5 from beyond the arc, 3 for 7 from the floor. Weber also added double figures along with Trey Moses, and it's been much of the same names here today, Noah.
And 2 years ago, even it was an overtime game. So these two teams battle, and it's usually a close basketball game back and forth. A lot of similar names in the 2 years that they've played prior to this one. Just a nice job, Ball State, IUPUI competing back and forth.
Well, part of the run for IUPUI has been Darrell Combs, who got things started. He's scored 11 points here in the second half. Ball State, who was 6 of 16 from beyond the arc in the first half, is now 2 for 4. IUPUI has turned things around offensively, though, an increase of 13% to their field goal percentage between halves. 40% in the first half, 53% in the second half. And the struggles continue for Ball State. IUPUI looking for their first lead since the 1-minute mark of the opening half. Combs, a step back 3. Stays IUPUI basketball.
I know that Combs has been shooting the ball really well here in the second half, but not necessarily a look I think you want if you're IUPUI, especially a chance to take the lead. It was a contested 3-pointer. Combs is having all sorts of success getting into the paint.
Leading the team with 15 points. Just when IUPUI had a chance to take the lead, their 11th turnover of the game. Hard to win when you shoot yourself in the foot with those opportunities. UPUI rises 3.
Great look for Francis UPUI coming off of a handoff, was able to curl around, set his feet, knock down a three-pointer. His third three-pointer of the game puts him in double figures.
Ball State's lead is 4. Hall not necessarily a threat to shoot from outside. Combs gets to the rim. IUPUI ball on the last touch by Moses. Two-possession game inside Worthen Arena. Combs rises 3. Give it to him. Back to a one-point game. 18 points for the senior from Chicago. He has a game high and has came alive here in the second half.
And you knew that was possible. It's a guy that Ball State held in check, just 4 points in the first half, but he's the team's leading scorer from a reason. Can do it in a variety of ways. Has knocked down 3 3-pointers, is getting to the paint with ease. That's led to 18 points.
It's been a 14-4 run over the last 13 minutes for IUPUI. Ball State's lead down to 1. Persons trying to extend it on the drive. Circles back around. Teague nearly lost his foot. Sellers on the kick, and well short. Ball State thought the ball was tipped.
Ball State led by as many as 11, but Daryl Combs has a game-high 18 points. It's pulled IUPUI within 1. Did they end up reversing that, Tyler?
Oh, and there's the timeout. 3-point basket with $50. 20 seconds remaining. Time with instant cash from the Ball State Federal Credit Union. Got to hit that three-pointer. 10 seconds to go. He's got the toe. He's got the toe. He'll cash in. This will be the last shot. If that's good, it goes. Now, he'll go with 2 great prizes to the Ball State Federal Credit Union.
I'm tossing it, Nick. An afternoon in December, college basketball on ESPN3. Ball State's lead, once 11, is down to 1. We check in with our sideline reporter, Mick Tidrow.
Tajay Teague has made an important impact today for Ball State's defense. 3 blocks for Teague, and here today the redshirt freshman has played an impact, and Coach Whitford has continued to stress his defense on that 1-3-1 zone defense. Ball State wants Teague to stay and not let anybody drive baseline. He's been able to do that today with those couple of blocks, and Whitford has been pleased with the progression that Teague has made, and here today with the blocks that he's been able to have and that impact, and without IUPUI able to drive inside the zone, Teague playing strong on the defensive side.
Well, the lead is 1 for Ball State, 56-55. Tajay Teague and Ball State with a 1-point lead. The 6'8" redshirt freshman. If the name Teague sounds familiar, It's because his cousin plays for the Indiana Pacers, Jeff Teague. Made the connection IUPUI with George Hill. Jeff Teague now the starting point guard for the Indiana Pacers, where George Hill was for so many years, was an All-American at Wake Forest, now with the Indiana Pacers. His cousin Tajay Teague with 2 points, but has done a very nice job offensively on the glass for Ball State. Return to action as Ball State with just a 1-point lead. They've seen that comfortable double-figure lead shrink down to just a one-possession game.
You'd like to see O'Leary get a touch here for IUPUI. Hasn't had much of a factor here in the second half after scoring 14 first half points.
Only was 6 of 6 to start the basketball game. Combs, and the first lead for IUPUI.
No touch for O'Leary, but the three-pointer from Combs. He now has 21 points, his fourth three-pointer of the game, and IUPUI up 2.
58-56, 7 to go in the game. And when it rains, it pours. Persons is stripped. Combs gets by Sellers. And Moses rips it away from DJ McCall of IUPUI. An issue with the shot clock as identified by Tyler Kumpf. No, IUPUI has just put their head down and ran straight forward here in the second half. Ball State's lead was once 11, now it's IUPUI plus 2.
Well, when you have your leading scorer, Darrell Combs, doing the work that he's doing here in the second half, you can't be all that surprised. Just 4 points at halftime. He now has 21 in the game, and it's really been all Darrell Combs. Matt O'Leary kept IUPUI afloat in the first half, scoring those 14 first half points. He had 14 of the first 19 for IUPUI to even keep it a game. You said it, Ball State up 11, but now it's an IUPUI 2-point lead because of Darrell Combs. He's a guy who has a season-high 28 points, closing in on that with under 7 to play.
Well, Coach Gardner and the IUPUI Jaguars like exactly where they're at right now. A 2-point lead, once down 11. Much of the credit due to Darrell Combs, his leading scorer for the IUPUI Jaguars. A top 5 scorer within the Summit League. Jason Gardner, out of his 3rd season, has ties to the Indianapolis area, where he was an assistant coach at Cathedral High School. Since then, bounced around in the college ranks. Went to Loyola, where he coached Matt O'Leary, Nick Osborne, who also played for IUPUI last year, along with Memphis for a year, before he was hired in 2014 to become the head coach of IUPUI. The job he has done in the recruiting realms and being able to get high-level transfers to this Jaguars program has been very impeccable.
And it's great because he has the Indianapolis connection, being at Cathedral High School for a few years. He can recruit the Indiana guys, and especially at the mid-major level like these two teams, sometimes it's hard to get those Indiana talent because you got schools like Indiana, Purdue, Notre Dame who are taking some of those guys. So to be able to get some of those transfers as well, the high-level transfers and the high-level Indiana high school players, Jason Gardner's done a nice job on the recruiting trail.
Nearly a turnover by Ball State as IUPUI enjoying a 19-6 run over the last 9 minutes. Ball State led 50-39 at the 16-minute mark in the second half. Since then, just 6 points for Ball State.
Well, they've gotten away from what they were doing offensively. They were getting the ball into the paint on a lot of post feeds, just like that right there. And it's a nice bucket from Trey Moses, and it's something that Ball State got away from that you can hope they get back to doing.
They tie the game at 58 apiece. Moses with 13. O'Leary, who can shoot from outside.
He can shoot from outside, but that's not the look that you want if you're Matt O'Leary. He was 2 for 2 behind the three-point line, but they all came off of driving kicks when he was wide open. That time, no ball movement for IUPUI, standing at the top of the key, defended somewhat heavily. Not the three-point shot you want to take if you're O'Leary.
4th on the team in three-point field goal percentage this season for a guy that's 6'8", can really stretch the defense out, 35%. Ball State trying to find something offensively. There's 4 seconds to shoot. Moses has to make something happen against Hall. Last touch by a lunging Combs. Ball State buys a break. Really had nothing going offensively that entire possession.
Just very stagnant. They got the ball into Franco House once, and as soon as IUPUI sent over that double team, House was able to reverse it, but it was a slow reversal, and that allowed the defense to recover and not allow a bucket for Ball State.
House, who was honored before the game as a member of the Ball State 1,000-point scoring club in his career. Weber, back iron, no.
Fortunate for Combs there defensively, because Weber's not a guy you want to leave. A great shooter from behind the three-point line.
No one picked up the basketball. Thomas drove it all the way to the cup, and a foul is called underneath on the rebound. Foul is on Weber, who missed the three on the other end. That's the fourth foul on Weber. House and Weber both have 4 personal fouls for Ball State. Both double-figure scores.
The difference between those two is you can take out Ryan Weber for a guy like Sean Sellers. You're seeing right now Sean Sellers winning the game, but with 4 fouls and a tie ball game with just over 5 minutes to go, you need Franco House in that lineup down low.
House remains on the floor. Weber takes a seat. We'll call it the free throw line. First one good. A 1-point lead for IUPUI, just over 5 minutes to go. Ball State has only had 3 field goals the last 7 minutes. And the problems continue offensively for Ball State.
No in-out touch on the offensive side there for Ball State. It's a good look for Sean Sellers, a very good three-point shooter, but where he came very successful down in the first half was getting the in-out kicks from the post.
O'Leary, who has been scoreless here in the second half, after leading the team in scoring with 14, was 6 of 6 to start the game. That's his first bucket here in the second half. Give him 16 for the game. IUPUI's up by 3. Burson got to the rims but couldn't finish. O'Leary turns against House. Oh, what a pretty move by the senior from Terre Haute.
And that's a big-time play there by O'Leary. A turnaround fadeaway jumper gives IUPUI a 2-possession lead. 5-point lead, that's the biggest IUPUI's seen all game.
And their bench all standing up with a hand clap. Chiapue at the foul line, an answer for Ball State finally.
And Ball State needed that desperately. IUPUI going on a big run. Ball State was once up 11 points. IUPUI comes back, gets a 5-point lead. Ball State needed that bucket.
And that last foul by Ryan Weber 2 possessions ago, it was reported by the public address announcer inside of Worthen Arena going down as his 4th. The stat monitor confirms that we have courtside that it is his 5th personal foul. He has fouled out of the game. So Ball State will be without one of their best options from beyond the arc, and Ryan Weber. One of their 3 double-figure scores this season at 10 points per game. He is disqualified with 5 personal fouls.
But the perimeter shooting is still there. It's Taylor Person, Sean Sellers, Francis Chiapue, all guys who are career above 40% three-point shooters.
IUPUI by 3. O'Leary has scored the last 2. Oh, and he's swatted by Teague.
And that's what Teague brings you right there, is his defensive presence. O'Leary back-to-back buckets, swatted by Teague.
The lead is 3 for IUPUI, their first lead of the game. 3:40 left here in Muncie. Matt O'Leary has led IUPUI. He's scored the last 4 for the Jaguars. He's 8 for 11 from the floor, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc, 3 rebounds to go with it. And he leads the team 18 points behind Combs, who has 21 for today's game, 63-60. Matt O'Leary has helped IUPUI not only come back, but take their first lead of the game.
And Matt O'Leary is as efficient as it gets. 8 of 11 from the field for 18 points. Ball State's defense has made Darrell Combs work for his 21 on 16 field goal attempts, but it's been O'Leary all first half. 2 consecutive buckets back-to-back. He has the last 4 for IUPUI, and that's a guy IUPUI needs to go to down in the stretch.
O'Leary had double figures last year against Ball State with 10. He's been very effective when he's been on here today. 18 points. The senior out of Terre Haute, played at Terre Haute North. Combs off the crossover. Persons with a hop sent to the baseline, and Ball State, a 3 would tie the game. Teague considered it. Teague has the open triple to tie the game off the side iron.
And Ball State needs to realize 3 minutes left. They don't need it all back in one shot. You would like to see them work the ball, maybe work that shot clock a little bit more. You got the post feed into Franco House. The double team came, and instead of reversing the ball, just kicked it out to the same side.
McCall leaves inside O'Leary. Oh, what a pretty feed. McCall to O'Leary. O'Leary has 20.
And that was all set up by DJ McCall. Did a nice job, read that he had the baseline. Ball State's defense doesn't like to give up the baseline. McCall was able to take advantage of that, go all the way down, and get the assist.
Now he steals the ball. Combs back to McCall. This place would have erupted had he connected on that three-point play. A primarily Ball State fan base, but several IUPUI fans behind their bench, where McCall went up for the and one.
And how about the last 3 possessions from DJ McCall? It starts with the assist on the offensive side, gets the steal on the defensive possession, runs down the floor, had a chance to possibly get the 3-point play, couldn't convert, but still goes to the free throw line. 3 really big possessions, offense, defense, offense from McCall.
McCall only has 2 points on the game, but where he's been most effective has been on the boards. 12 rebounds. That steal also has dished out 2 assists, has yet to commit a turnover for IUPUI.
And that's what he brings more than anything is his athleticism. You said it, the 12 rebounds. That's what he does. He's a guy who's a slasher, can get buckets inside. You're not going to see him come out in the perimeter a whole lot, but right where he's made the most impact, those 12 rebounds right there to lead IUPUI.
Did that at Fort Wayne Concordia High School up north from Muncie here, where he's a 2014 Indiana All-Star. Played on the same team with Persons that year. Persons an All-Star from Kokomo. IUPUI's biggest lead of the game, 67-60. Time's running out on Ball State, who led a majority of the game. House backs into a double team. Had the right look, but just couldn't get the shot off in time. House visibly frustrated with himself. The lead is 7 for IUPUI and just 2 minutes to go.
And House, one of the senior leaders on this team, just didn't have the awareness on that possession. Did a nice job backing down his defender, even recovered from having the ball tapped away from him, but just had it off about a half a second too late.
Darrell Combs. Inside for O'Leary. And Moses nearly saddled Hall. Hall to the free throw stripe. Things have just collapsed here in the later parts of the second half for Ball State, both offensively and defensively as well.
Hall does a nice job reading the scouting report. Trey Moses led the team in blocks last season with 35. Knew his shot fake would get Moses up into the air, goes right into the chest and earns himself 2 free throws.
Hall has had a productive night, one of 3 double-figure scores for IUPUI, 11 points. And both teams will go to their bench before the free throws for Hall. Again, I think there is an issue with the clock. Does that seem correct, Noah?
It could be the clock, or it could be because it was such a hard foul, making sure he didn't get hit in the face. Nothing malicious there on the foul from Moses, but I wouldn't expect there to be.
Well, they will review it at the scores table. Both of these teams can effectively use this as a timeout, essentially. Ball State with 2 minutes to go trails IUPUI by 7, 67-60. In a game where at parts of it, it looked like Ball State was potentially going to run away from IUPUI, a team that hasn't won on the road yet this season. They're 0-5 away from Indiana Coliseum, where they play their home games in Indianapolis. They're just 2-5 on the year. A very good basketball team, a very experienced basketball team at that as well. And it looked like Ball State in the first half was going to run away from IUPUI, but IUPUI just stayed close. Combs got him going. O'Leary has finished off this run. They lead by 7.
And Ball State had that 7-point lead at halftime, got as high as 11 points at one time, but it was all Darrell Combs after that. Matt O'Leary had the 14 first-half points to keep IUPUI in the game, but then Darrell Combs, the team's leading scorer, took off after that. Just 4 first-half points, now 21 in the game, 17 here in the second half. And the thing that's so impressive is he's done it in a variety of ways. A guy who's just a 30% three-point shooter has knocked down 4 3-pointers, has got to the basket at any time that he's wanted, and that's led to his game-high 21 and a 7-point IUPUI lead.
It also helps when the second leading scorer goes for 20 as well, Matt O'Leary. He's enjoyed a very nice 3-game stretch now. 22 against SIU Edwardsville, which was his career high. Illinois State 17 points in the loss. And now today 20 points with 2 minutes to go. Keep in mind, Ryan Weber has fouled out of the game, one of 3 double-figure scores for Ball State. So if they get in a situation where they need 3-pointers, they're down Weber. Do have other options though. I'll split the pair and a timeout to Coach Gardner. IUPUI looking for their first road win on the year. The last time they won on the road was January 23rd, 2016. It was by 2, 84-82 at Summit League rival at the time, IPFW, now has changed their name to Fort Wayne. Had a huge win just a couple of weeks ago. Fort Wayne did over a ranked Indiana team. It's been the best win in Fort Wayne history and for the Summit League up to this point.
And I like this move by IUPUI to pick up the full court pressure again, not allow Ball State to either roll the ball, take some time off the clock. They've kind of taken back a little bit now, but to start up.
Sellers misses from distance. Foul called on Kellen Thomas. That is his 4th.
And Sellers is the guy that you're wanting to get those looks from the 3-point line. He started the game 3 for 5, but here in the second half hasn't connected on any of the 5 that he's attempted, but he's one of your best 3-point shooters. You can't complain about the looks he's getting.
IUPUI by 8. Persons off the bounce, rattles in. Down to 6-point lead for IUPUI.
Team's leading scorer in Taylor Persons. Might need him to start taking over late, down 6 with just over a minute to play. A guy at the point guard position who can facilitate, but also can score when he needs to.
Oh, O'Leary with a backdoor pass for Hall. Leads back to 8. O'Leary has done it in multiple different ways tonight, Noah.
And that's exactly it. A guy who scored 20 points, was the only guy who could score the basketball early for IUPUI. Just does a fantastic job. Bounce pass, backdoor cut, beat Moses, and Hall with the authoritative throwdown.
IUPUI's lead is 8. Persons quickly on the other direction. Loses the ball out of bounds, and it belongs to IUPUI. Evan Hall takes a seat to a huge eruption from the IUPUI fans. 14 points for the sophomore out of Kentucky. 8-point lead for IUPUI. 60 seconds to go. 3-on-1 fast break. Brennan glides cup. Tapped in by McCall and a fist pump to boot.
13 rebounds for DJ McCall, making a huge impact.
Sellers trying to respond with a 3. The lead is 10, biggest for IUPUI. Their second half has been absolutely outstanding. They've been nothing short of terrific offensively. Same goes for the defensive end. They were once down 11. They lead by 10. A 21-point turnaround here in the second half.
And that all has come in the last 15 minutes. Ball State led by 7 at halftime, then made the lead as large as 11 at one point with 15 minutes to go in the game. That 21-point turnaround that you're talking about has come in that 15-minute span, and it's been done a variety of ways with a variety of guys. It was just Matt O'Leary in the first half, and that's why IUPUI was struggling, because they only had one guy doing something. Now you pick it up. Evan Hall has had a fantastic game, 14 points on 5 of 7 shooting, as well as Darrell Combs, a game-high 21.
Well, for Ball State, a busy first month of the season. In the first 30 days, 10 games. They're in the midst of a 6-game homestand as well. Next is Bradley, Eastern Kentucky, Longwood, and Alabama State before they finally go back onto the road with North Florida. A 10-point lead. It appears as though Ball State has thrown in the white flag if they elect not to foul. Simply at this point, it's just keep away and try and chew as much clock.
And just a terrific performance tonight by IUPUI, battling all the way back from being down 11 points at one time here in the second half on the road in an environment like Ball State with a lot of guys from both teams from the state of Indiana played their high school ball here. There was a lot of people showing up in a hostile environment. IUPUI, a 10-point lead with 20 seconds to go.
This IUPUI team projected to finish 5th in the Summit League. With the amount of experience that this team has, don't be shocked if they surprise a couple of teams out of their conference.
Well, they have everything you need. The guard play is phenomenal with Combs and Thomas. The bigs tonight, you saw O'Leary and Evan Hall, what they can do. They bring guys off the bench as well. They'll be a tough force to be reckoned with in the Summit League.
Sellers backs up 3. Now IUPUI can just hold on to the basketball. A 20-point second half turnaround for IUPUI. They defeat Ball State 73-62. IUPUI picks up their first road win of the season. They improved to 3-5. Ball State drops to 500 at 4-4.
And just a tremendous performance in the second half by IUPUI, battling back. Once down 11, they turn that around and win by 11 points. The guard play was great in the second half. Matt O'Leary kept it up. He had a couple huge buckets late in that second half, had 4 consecutive points that put IUPUI up by 3. Evan Hall had an exclamation point dunk as well, so a variety of players got in on the action and helped IUPUI to a true team win.
Mick Titterow is down courtside with the winning coach, Jason Gardner.
Coach, trailing by 7 points at halftime. What adjustments were you able to make and make a run here against Ball State?
Well, I think the biggest thing, I think we gave up too many offensive rebounds, so we try to tell our guards they got to get back in there and crash. Told our bigs to quit looking at the rim. They got to go catch a body. And I thought we try to lock in more about just being a better defensive rebounding team.
And without Thomas and Patterson being as effective as normal, how was the rest of the offense able to compute and play well in the second half?
You know, our spark plug was DJ. I think DJ came in. He did an unbelievable job defensively. He did an unbelievable job on the glass. You know, he got some big steals. He got some deflections, and I think that was our spark for this game.
All right, thanks, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Terrific work, Mick. Darrell Combs, 21 points to lead IUPUI. Matt O'Leary, a nice supporting cast, 20 points to go with it. IUPUI with a 11-point turnaround in the second half. They win 73-62. Back to wrap it up after this. Yep. Hey, scoot over that way. A 73-62 win for IUPUI. The Jaguars claim their first road win of the season to improve to 3-5, now 1-5 away from Indiana Coliseum. Back down here courtside alongside analyst Noah Reed, Tyler Bradfield on hand. Noah, the second half adjustments for Coach Gardner and IUPUI, the ability to have a 22-point turnaround in the second half, certainly outstanding today.
Well, I think it all starts offensively. They did a fantastic job of Ball State got going early, knocking down a few buckets, but offensively IUPUI was able to come back. Did a nice job attacking the paint, getting buckets inside. It was all Ball State early. IUPUI fires back, gets a couple buckets. Darrell Combs had 17 second half points after scoring just 4 points in the first half. He had a game-high 21. Team's leading scorer, you let him get going, and it was trouble for Ball State. Matt O'Leary kept them afloat going early, had a nice dish underneath to Evan Hall, an exclamation point dunk right there. Ball State tried to fire back a little bit, a few threes from Francis Kiapaway, but Sean Sellers went cold on the three-point line in the second half. It was all IUPUI, down 11 at one point in the second half, come back to win by 11, a 22-point turnaround in the final 15 minutes.
Darrell Combs finished with a game-high 21 points. And his sidekick, Matt O'Leary, with 20, just a bucket short from a new career high. Has enjoyed a very nice three-game stretch, that being Matt O'Leary. Taking a look at the final statistics in this one, Ball State shot the ball 25 of 62, similar to IUPUI's number. 25 made field goals on 56 missed shot, but in the second half, it was simply too much for Combs and O'Leary for Ball State to handle.
And I think it's the thing that sticks out, the rebounds. Ball State held a 7-rebound advantage at halftime. DJ McCall, Coach Gardner referenced it in his post-game interview, had 13 rebounds. He was the spark plug for IUPUI.
Well, today's Ball State Sports Link production on ESPN3 was produced by Tori Fox and directed by Brielle Hill. For Mick Tidrow and Noah Reed, I'm Tyler Bradfield saying so long from Muncie, where the final score is IUPUI 73, Ball State 62. IUPUI with their first road win of the season. To watch this entire game on replay as well as other games in our family of ESPN networks, just log on to watchespn.com or simply download the Watch ESPN app. Thanks for everybody for watching. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.